The afternoon of the hearing on this bill, I was unable to be present in the hearing room to give my testimony. I was barred from entering by a bailiff and told that I could not present my written testimony to the committee and that I could wait downstairs in an overflow to perhaps testify later. While I was in the overflow, I was watching the committee proceedings on a small computer. As I watched the proceedings, I witnessed Edna Fund, representing Lewis County, giving testimony to the committee. In an apparent effort to convince her audience of how burdensome the Public Records Act is, not only did she mischaracterize me, but Edna also misrepresented some key points, omitted facts, and presented some falsehoods as fact.
Edna?
My name is Edna Fund, Lewis County Commissioner, and appreciate the time, Madam Chair, and other representatives to this issue. I also had worked in a newspaper in the newsroom for 5 years, and I really appreciate transparency. I was a Central City Councilor and now a County Commissioner. In some information that we provided you, we have a news article about a week ago. We have a public disclosure request that was given to us that wants any and all information regarding our previous sheriff, Steve Mansfield. So 3 years worth of any and all text messages, everything. When trying to discuss with this individual about what could we narrow it down to, that is not something they want. In fact, they said anything that has the letterhead of the sheriff is wanted.
I do have a request for all the communications of the former Lewis County Sheriff for the past 3 years. I have an interest in his activities and communications for reasons that will be revealed to the public in the future. I sincerely believe that some scrutiny of the past sheriff and his activities while occupying that office are hardly out of line. Edna Fund claimed in her testimony that when asked to clarify my latest request, that I requested everything with the former sheriff's letterhead. This is patently false. Her testimony demonstrates that she probably never read my request or the correspondence that followed between myself and the clerk of the board.
So this, when we were calculating yesterday about, because we have 580 employees that may have had some kind of contact with the sheriff over time, touches every department, 70 departments. We calculate, as we fulfill this request, it will probably implicate 2 deputies on the road being taken off.
I believe that Edna Fund's testimony that appears to imply that the cost of a clerk with the collateral duty of public records officer fulfilling 1 records request somehow adds up to the cost of 2 full-time deputies is absolutely unsupportable and completely ridiculous. You may also find it interesting that just yesterday I received a notification in an email that the first installment of the records that Edna was complaining about, the records that I requested a little over a month ago, will be ready for review within a few days.
So this is a very crucial thing for us. The individual that is filing this has filed a public records suit against the governor, has done it in Pierce County, and is now with us, and is recently, this week, filed against the Shayla School District for any and all.
I do not have a current suit against Pierce County. In 2014, I was assaulted by a Pierce County deputy and unjustly charged by Pierce County with a crime I did not commit. The county knew that this same officer had a long history of similar assaults on citizens and withheld their disciplinary files on him until I sued them under the Public Records Act. The records were provided within days of my bringing suit. And yes, Pierce County was found to be in violation and agreed to pay me a small amount and a stipulated settlement to dismiss the case. Subsequently, the charge against me was dismissed. This case exemplifies the reason we have a Public Records Act. I do have a suit currently against the governor's office for violating the Public Records Act. The records were withheld for 2 years and were not disclosed until I brought a lawsuit. The governor's office has admitted to violating the Public Records Act in their response to my complaint. The records pertain to a House bill that I opposed and had an interest in reporting on. I believe the public has a serious interest in hearing about what role the executive and other agencies have when it comes to lawmaking. Without a strong Public Records Act, this information would be unattainable. The Public Records Act case I am currently engaged in against Lewis County involves records of recommendations withheld concerning a local reporter for the Chronicle that was accepted to the Bellevue Police Department. I imagine due in large part to these recommendations. The reporter was covering the 2014 Lewis County Sheriff's race, where I was running against the undersheriff, and in my opinion, her stories were inflammatory, casting me and my campaign in a negative light. I think this looks a little suspicious to any reasonable person. Additionally, Edna Fund forgot to mention that Lewis County fully admits to violating the Public Records Act in my case against them. Edna Fund further claimed in her testimony that I had a suit against the Chehalis School District. I do not have a suit against the Chehalis School District.
So it's a very difficult situation. We want transparency in our government, but this is going overboard, and we would appreciate some relief. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being so concise.
I hope this kind of test of lying is not the norm in these kinds of hearings. I found it strange that Edna Fund's testimony seemed to be accepted without any question as to the truth or supposed facts she was presenting. Edna was even praised for being so concise by the committee chairwoman, Sherry Appleton. I would like to have it noted that I have only brought 3 cases for violations of the Public Records Act. Not one of these cases was without merit or even close to being frivolous, as I have demonstrated here in this video. I do not appreciate Edna Fund apparently attempting to paint me as some kind of vexatious serial litigant bringing frivolous lawsuits or someone who requests records for nefarious or frivolous reasons. I was frankly shocked when I witnessed Edna Fund espousing false and misleading information in her testimony to an official House committee. I am in agreement with State Representative Ed Orcutt, who wrote this in an email to me. I believe we need to encourage agencies to begin preparing any document created, as they are created, for possible public disclosure, and to begin to put them onto a portal where citizens can self-search for records. Of course, there will need to be a lot of catch-up to do, as there are so many documents that have already been created which would need to be prepared and loaded into a self-search database. But it would be a start of a transition to a self-search portal. Of course, public records requests still need to be processed until that can be accomplished. Personally, I would prefer instant access to public records versus being forced to file a lawsuit in order to get the information that I require.